I would like to invite now the founder of AlphaPod, TJT, to start his presentation for the next panel. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a round of applause.
Am I on? Okay, guys, hear me? Sorry about that. The system doesn't agree with my Mac, so we've had to work around that. Okay, does this work? Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is TJ. I'm co-founder of AlphaPod. AlphaPod is a digital studio that takes a human-centered, mobile-first approach to building apps and websites. We specialize in building and designing mobile apps for iOS and the Android platforms, as well as responsive websites that work seamlessly across multiple devices, screens, and form factors. Our mission is to craft memorable experiences, user experiences, through great digital products. And I'll show, if I have the time, I'll show you some of the products that we built. But today's focus will probably be on the stuff that we've done for clients. And these are just a snapshot of some of our clients. So later on, we can talk about some of the case studies that selected case studies which we've done for some of them. And yeah, that's it. Enough of an introduction. So I've been asked to talk about basically what's new in the mobile app landscape. I'll talk very briefly about it for about 15 minutes. Try to cover the broad strokes, and then we'll make our way to the more detailed stuff. Sounds good? All right, let's jump in. So just to give you a snapshot on what's going on today. So 73% of the world's population, the 7 billion, own a mobile phone, out of which 2 billion own a smartphone. And these are stats as of last year. So it's huge. I remember years ago talking about mobile apps, and the challenge that we've had to personally, that we face personally, is clients asking us, okay, we want to build mobile app. I know what a mobile app can do, but are there enough people using smartphones? Back then, it was a challenge to answer. We always said that eventually we'll get there, but in recent years, yeah. Who here does not own a smartphone? My point exactly. So everyone has a smartphone in the pocket right now. So mobile is not the next big thing, it's the big thing now. And the big guys, the big players in the market, in the industry, are talking about basically the next 1 billion. These are the generation of people who've probably never had internet connectivity, who've never connected, have been online, who've never experienced a dial-up modem. And they are going to be connected to the internet, and their first encounter with the internet is via a smartphone. All right? And this is predominantly in emerging markets, the BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Some also say Indonesia. And there's tremendous opportunity for these markets, these emerging markets, especially in the areas of messaging, localization, and like Facebook is making great strides with the project Internet.org, Facebook Lite, specifically tailored for these people. Just last month, India overtook the US to become the second largest market for smartphones after China, with 220 million users. At the same time, we are also in the age of the super unicorns. And this is terminology for the players, an elite group of about 6 or 7 big guys. You can see the names on screen. Facebook, WhatsApp. WhatsApp and Gmail. They probably joined the club around the same time, just recently. The super unicorns are the guys with more than 1 billion monthly active users. These are people who actively use these services, right, on a monthly basis. So what does that tell us? Well, as Mark Anderson tells us, it's software eating the world. So what we're seeing right now is an age where the catalyst for hardware growth, smartphone adoption, is software, apps. Let's just look at some of the current and future trends in the mobile app space. We look at seamless user experience. So these days, when was the last time you remember, what device you were on? In the sense that if you're reading, say, an article on Facebook, you could have been reading it on your laptop, your desktop, or your tablet, or your phone, or getting alerts on your watch. So what we're saying is that the experience is almost seamless. You're not aware of the device or the form factor that you're consuming content on, right? So content moves to different screens in a seamless fashion. Another trend we're seeing is invisible apps, apps that stay in the background and only react and only activate when you're in a certain place, or if it's time to do something, it's a reminder, right? So these are not apps that you launch and browse every day. They happen to pop up. Ever notice when you are for iPhone users, when you're in a certain location, when you're driving, you plug in your USB cable, or you plug in your headphone, there's a little icon in the bottom left corner. Like I see that for Spotify, I see that for my browser. So basically the phone, the device, the OS knows the context of which you are, where you are, when it thinks you're going to use this particular app. Interoperability, this is apps talking to other apps. So iOS is making a lot of progress in that space. So we built apps that seamlessly, so for example, if it's a selfie, an app that takes a selfie, for example, you can easily integrate, deep integration with Instagram to touch up, to apply to your photos. And this is all seamless, all transparent to the user. Everything works in the background. Data is the new voice. Data is the lifeblood for anyone connected to the internet. In fact, Facebook predicts, they say this year, but they predict the disappearance of the phone number. Interesting enough. So the voice is going the way of the dinosaurs, and so is SMS. And we talk about, can you hear me? We talk about immersive experiences with virtual reality. And chatbots is something that I want to elaborate a bit on. Anyone heard of chatbots? It's a new feature. So go on Facebook Messenger after this. Type, I think, Elias play chess in a normal chat window with any friend, and a chessboard will pop up. And you can play games inside of a chat window. So what we're seeing is that chat itself, a feature of Facebook, we think that chat is becoming a platform. So you can actually build apps in the chat experience. Facebook has been doing some private tests with selected developers. And this is what they're saying. So traditionally, Facebook Messenger has always been used as a peer-to-peer, for peer-to-peer communications, to chat with friends. And very soon, the paradigm shift is from people talking with businesses and corporations. And you might ask, Why not just have someone from the brand, from your business, be on the receiving end and chatting with that person? And the answer is obviously scale, right? So think about the applications. Think about, you can answer like customer service via Facebook Messenger. You can hail an Uber from Facebook Messenger. You can order a pizza from chat just by typing in certain chat messages, and Facebook's intelligent algorithms, AI maybe, will reply and get you what you want. So think about ordering a pizza, booking movie tickets, flight tickets, shopping online. So watch this space. Facebook's developer conference, F8, more will be revealed. We are looking forward to it. So it's not just apps or native apps or web apps that live on your phone that you download, but also apps that live inside on top of platforms. Clear so far, everyone? All right, let's go. So, obviously, mobile advantage. These are self-explanatory. Mobile is always with you. It's in your pocket. It's always on. At some point in this talk, someone will get a call. Someone will be interrupted. Someone will be on the phone messaging someone else. So it's on demand at a within reach, and your device is basically, it's almost like a supercomputer. It's inside your pocket. It's got powerful native capabilities. Push notifications is an amazing thing. When someone tags you on Facebook, you look at it, chances are you're going to tap and open that Facebook app, and you'll be directed to your photo. And so push notifications are a great way to bring you back, or for your brand to bring your audiences back to your app. Location is an interesting space. Geofencing, for example, if you pass by a certain area or in a certain, even interiors, it prompts you certain messages on cue. You talk about games, so yeah, you have access to high-performance graphics as well as sensors, right? Gyroscope, accelerometer. So obviously, mobile is the place to reach your audience, and it's not going away anytime soon. And here are some key benefits that you can use to your advantage. Now, here are examples of companies and brands that have taken full advantage of mobile capabilities. And a lot of you can relate to these apps. These are apps that you use from the moment you wake up, you commute to work, on the toilet, right, at lunch break, while you're driving home. No, not while you're driving home, while you're home relaxing. So, yeah, I use these apps every day. But what all these companies have in common is that they have a strong mobile strategy that gives them a disruptive edge over the competitors. A lot of innovation that these brands are pushing happens in the mobile experience, right? You use them every day. So, what makes a good app? What makes a good app for a business? So these are 3 points that can get you started with. I'm sure a lot of you have at some point or another thought about developing a mobile app, whether a mobile app would be the right approach for your brand. I'm assuming a lot of you are marketers. This list is not exhaustive, but I'd just like to elaborate on some of these points. So as a designer myself, our mantra is always user-focused, always user-first. What would the ideal user experience be? Where do we start? It's always with the user. It's not always your brand. Yeah, nobody gives a shit about your brand. Almost nobody, right? So identify a gap in the user's life, in the user's experience, that your brand can fit. Always start with that. All right? Number 2, serve a core purpose. It must fulfill a personal need. Users don't care about your brand, users care about themselves. It's all about making your brand relevant in the users' daily lives, and creating meaningful experiences, meaningful and memorable experiences. It should ideally make life easier or more interesting. Like for example, like what Grab and Uber are doing with their apps. It's moving people. It's an unsexy problem, but with apps, quality of life, people improve instantly, tremendously, right? I used to wait like 20 minutes on average for a cab. And nowadays, it's just before I'm downstairs leaving a meeting, I just Uber my ride home, and like within minutes, I get confirmation, I get a call, and I know for sure that my ride is on the way. And that's the amazing thing about having that power in your hands. And the third thing I would say is to do one thing really well. Now, Larry Page from Google talks about moonshots, right? Achieving giant goals. But I think, for me, I say just focus on the user, focus on bring yourself down to the ground and focus on what's needs that the user might have, right? It doesn't need to be sexy. It can be CRM. For example, if your client or if you work for an automotive brand, it's about collecting leads. It's about booking a test drive. It's about delivering excellent customer service. Or if you're a group buying site, for example, you want to push via push alerts, discounts, and stuff like that. All right, so you get the point. So at this point, I'll just jump into some of the case studies, some of the clients that we've worked with, that we've helped to work with for their mobile strategies. So taking on from some of our selected clients, Samsung, this is what we work with them. So Samsung, everyone knows Samsung. They're a consumer electronics company. They produce phones, devices. But what we helped them build was nothing of that. The app wasn't to sell phones. It wasn't to tap a button, get a phone delivered to your doorstep. It was about recipes. And specifically, the reason why Samsung wanted to build a recipe app was for their Note device, the Samsung Note, the S Pen. You can write on your screen. So with recipes, some of you may be able to relate. You can annotate your recipes. For example, if you want to modify your recipes, and this app allowed you to add notes to if you were to bake a cake, for example. So this is an excellent example of how Samsung becomes relevant to users in their audience lives, right? Uniqlo does something similar as well. So fashion, apparel, they actually have apps to sell their clothes, but they also have apps that tell the time, and that they also have a recipe app, which is interesting. If you walk to any Uniqlo, have a lookout for that apps. Check it out. Okay, something more interesting, Volkswagen. We helped them build a car configurator app. So if you walk into any Volkswagen dealership in Klang Valley, you might be able to see the sales personnel holding these tablets, and you'll be able to customize your car, your colors, your rims, your interior. And the problem that they came to us with, Volkswagen, was that they have a lot of car variants, and they wanted to reduce, they were having trouble keeping up with the printing of brochures and flyers. So the obvious thing to do would be to digitize it. But also, we took it one step further. We'll be able to update content as we go along. There's a CMS built into the app. You can update models, you can take out models, you can add specs, you can even calculate your loan repayments, and calculate your on-the-road price. So this is basically a sales kit to help Volkswagen sell cars. to improve the Volkswagen buying experience. We also work with Inti in the education sector. So Inti is building, they have good big plans for mobile. In fact, they're looking at mobile as the sole, or digital as the sole main channel for customer acquisition, lead nurturing all the way to, from the point where a student leaves school all the way to graduation. And the app is the student's companion. So anything from answering, like a career questionnaire to selecting your course, everything is done via the app. And we've just launched this. We've also worked with startups. Some of you may have heard of Lulu. It's a marketplace for health and beauty services. So any ladies, you want to get your nails done, you want to get your hair done, this is the app to get. This is still in development. I think the platform was launched previously, but the founder had some problems previously. But we're working right now with them to build it entirely using a mobile-first approach. So very soon you'll be able to just book, your hairstylist at the click of a button, really. And yeah, that's it. If I have time later on, I'll run through more case studies. But now maybe we can move on to Q&A. Is that cool?
TJ, would you like to take a seat first among the panelists? And thank you so much for your presentation. Let us give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. This man has an amazing wealth of experience in mobile apps. I mean, he owns a mobile studio. But the next person I want to invite also is equally first in digital publication. This man is the managing director of Vulcan Post, a fast-growing digital publication in Singapore and Malaysia. Let us welcome Jackie Yap. So this panel session will be entitled Absolutely Right, and Jackie, over to you.
Hi. Oh, thanks, MC. Hey guys, my name is Jackie. So I run Vulcan Post, lifestyle publication based in Singapore and Malaysia. So as part of my role, right, I get to speak with a lot of app owners and developers. So TJ is a friend, but most importantly, he runs a team of 20 developers and designers, something that he haven't shared yet, right? So collectively, all of his team, right, have more than 50 years in the mobile space, right? So let us start off with the first question, right? TJ, could you share with us some of the apps you think are doing something that's groundbreaking here in Malaysia, as well as on the international stage?
Right. I can only speak from personal experience, and I guess I'll talk about some of the apps that I love. So I mentioned briefly about Uber, so it's amazing. Sorry, right now Uber tops Grab. I'm just gonna say it. The user experience is awesome. It's so polished, but I'm secretly rooting for. No, I'm openly rooting for our boys, our homegrown talent. But essentially, in the ride-hailing space, it's exciting. Like I said earlier, tap of a button, you move physical goods. I go from point A to point B. So to me, the technology might not be like super cutting edge, but I think the application is amazing. Okay, so there's an app that it's like lots of fun. Have anyone heard of Masquerade? Has anyone heard of Masquerade, where you can basically swap your face? You can apply, so you can basically change your face. So it uses the OS face detection. Sorry, it uses the SDK's face detection technology, and it basically follows your face. So I think that's a showcase for what 3D technology
I think
can
Facebook just announced that they're going to acquire the company.
Oh, Masquerade, really?
Yes.
Amazing.
I think it's the news
Amazing
today.
tech.
Yeah.
So it's MSQRD. Check it out, right?
Yeah. So locally? in Malaysia, someone that's doing like, wow, that's different, that's not adapting, global apps to local market?
Right. So, should I talk about our apps? So we have an app called Selfie Cam. Basically, it uses facial detection as well. It's an app that helps you take selfies. But the great thing about it is it's great for Wi-Fi's, right? So just now, someone's taking Wi-Fi. You don't actually have to stretch. You don't actually have to fiddle around with the phone. You basically just smile into at your phone. The camera detects that you're smiling, and it'll start a countdown timer. And yeah, that app was featured by Apple. We've gotten over 700,000 downloads globally. So it's something we're very proud of. We're thinking of updating it with Masquerade-like features, but we'll see. So yeah, it's a short plug there.
700,000 downloads over a period of how long? How long has it been launched already?
About 2 years now.
Okay,
2 years, yeah.
So how are you guys like monetizing, or is it just an app that,
So we monetize via in-app purchases.
Right.
It's so the obvious thing to do with, okay, so you can take a photo, and then you can decorate your selfie with stickers. And we try to monetize by selling those stickers. So we add stickers on an ongoing basis.
Right. So, is building mobile app for everyone or every brand, right? That's something that, internally as a publication, we don't own a mobile app because we think it's not suitable for us as of now. So like, is it suitable for everyone, and like, how do you determine the suitability, right?
Right. So the short answer is, and I'm being honest here, mobile apps are not for everyone. I'm just going to say it. But if you plan on taking full advantage of the mobile capabilities, which I briefly mentioned just now, push, location, sensors, then by all means, definitely. But if it's about pushing out content, so content is heavily dependent on, say, platforms like Facebook, for example, then maybe not. If your content can live on other apps, so for example, your app being the browser or your app being the Facebook, that's fine. If you're looking at like instant response, like you don't need to load stuff, then then a native app would be the way to go. Or if you're looking at, say, content, you want to browse, you want to be able to browse content, read content offline while you're not connected, then native would still be the way to go. But other than that, it's a case-to-case basis. We'll have to evaluate.
Right. So, what about mobile app versus mobile web, right? So, like, is it worth investing in mobile app if, let's say, we want to leave and ride on the whole mobile evolution right now, right?
Yeah. So the great thing about native apps, which is what you're referring to, is the App Store. So Apple's App Store, the Play Store, when it comes to app discovery, it's an amazing tool. Like I just told you about Selfie Cam. If Apple features you, you get from hundreds of downloads to tens or hundreds of thousands of downloads, overnight. So that's one great way of I guess promoting your content. If you're looking at that from that angle, whether or not it's worth the investment, I guess it really depends on a case-to-case basis. But a lot of the guys, a lot of the big players have both, because if their content is meant to be viral, for example on Facebook, you definitely need a mobile website because you need something to click through to. But once you're on a mobile website, maybe you want to offer an enhanced experience, tap a button, it launches the app. So I would say they work hand in hand. They're not mutually exclusive. Yeah. So I guess if you have the resources, I would definitely recommend investing in that.
This is good for your business.
Exactly.
Right?
That too.
Right. So could you share with us like which vertical that you would strongly recommend go mobile at first? The e-commerce, like gym subscription, which vertical?
So for us right now, AlphaPod is we're investing heavily into content, a subscription type of content. We have a successful product with about 300,000 downloads. It's a Bible devotional app. and it helps you basically read the Bible. And what we do is we monetize from that. And we found that apps are a great way to build a habit. For example, if it's content consumption, apps, we can send you a reminder every morning to read, to consume content. And what we do with that, if we've seen that the app is so sticky that we've been able to sell subscriptions for that. So people pay like $9.99 US for a year's worth of subscription to access that kind of content. So it can be, text and pictures. It can be, say, workout videos for fitness, which is another app that we're building right now with Jordan Yo, the local fitness celebrity guy. So anything that we design right now to build habit in daily consumption, an app will be, that's how we are designing our apps to be. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So you spoke a lot about what's happening in mobile space right now, right? I think right now, virtual reality is something that's very widely discussed right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that coming to mobile anytime soon, or are we still too early to talk about VR?
I think we're still, it's still early. I think there's a lot of room for innovation in VR. As you know, VR has been around for quite a while. I remember when I was a kid, when I went to Genting Highland, there was this VR game that you could play, right? You put on a headset, and not much, I think, based on observation, has evolved since then in terms of the hardware and the gear. There's some miniaturization, but I think if you think about the VR headset and going outdoors with it, I don't think it's practical currently. You still have to be somewhat plugged into a device, pretty much stationary. But the immersive experience, I think the quality and richness of the visuals and the immersiveness of the experience has improved by leaps and bounds. So I guess in short, it's still early stages. There has been some interesting efforts, like for example, Star Wars promoted their movie with that flyby video. You can actually watch it in Facebook, and then you can actually interact with the video. You can actually pan in real time. So I think that's amazing for brands looking to create this kind of immersive experiences. But whether or not it's mainstream, whether or not you put on your VR gear to read the news, maybe not. But I'm just going to say maybe porn might make, might have a lot of innovation in that space. I'm just saying. They always tend to lead in these kind of things in technology adoption. But yeah, wasn't expecting that.
So let's say I have a mobile app, right? It still seems a bit too risky as a brand owner, right? Because ultimately, a lot of our time is still spent on 80% of our time is still spent on less than 5 apps on our phone, right? So for a company or a brand to invest a lot in a mobile app, right, it seems to be quite a big risk.
Right.
So what are some of the ways to get more downloads other than hoping Apple would feature it?
Sure. So that's true. Like if I were to take a quick poll, I think all of us in this room would have probably 3 to 5 apps in common, right? Messaging app, Facebook. So it definitely is a challenge to get people, your users, to opt in, because the mobile economy is all about opt-in, right? So basically, if someone downloads your app, it's basically giving you permission to communicate and interact with them. So, but I prefer to. I don't see it as competition against Facebook or WhatsApp or this kind of thing, these guys, but I prefer to focus really on, again, the consumer. So your business, your brand, how do you become relevant? How do you fit into their lives? And at AlphaPod, we always tend to look at the long tail. So we look at niches. So fitness isn't quite a niche, but there are niches within that space as well. So for example, playing Minecraft, we have a game that helps you that it's a time-based challenge. It's based on Minecraft recipes. So you basically have to craft the item and race against the clock to see how many items that you can craft using the recipes. And these are really niche spaces, right? Niche apps. But within that niche itself, like for example, our app called Minecrafter or Craftable is really popular among the Minecraft community for some reason. It's just compelling. We've got over 40 million playthroughs. That means from people starting the game to game over to date. So I guess the approach that we use is always to focus on the long tail. And not to just build the next, not necessarily to build the next Grab or Uber or Messenger app, or if unless you have the resources or to do it, but basically to just look at like I said, small problems. If your app does one thing really well and people can find meaning and find it memorable, I think you've got a successful case there.
So niche inside a niche, right? That's the strategy right now.
So even within those verticals, those niches, I think there's room to maneuver. So AlphaPod's product development strategy is really focused on that. And we've got a platform that you can basically plot in any form of content, whether it's fitness videos or what have you. So I guess your second part of the question was user acquisition.
User acquisition.
So like user acquisition channels that we find most effective. It's got to be Facebook. Facebook app install ads. You track the point. You can basically segment your audience. You can target specific criteria. So you track all the way from the ad being shown to install. You can track the cost per acquisition. So I think we've been getting pretty good CPA rates, about $2 US per install, which is good, right? So the more so focusing on niches as well helps you to reduce costs, user acquisition costs. So $2 US you can get a user, as opposed to say the more mainstream verticals like $10 per install. And it's not if it's that and the user uninstalls the app because it's a bad user experience. That's it. That's money burned, right? So we look at how we optimize and you get a return. So we look at LTV, customer lifetime value, and if that is multiple of the CPA, that you get positive ROI.
Right. So recently, Instagram launched their ads. Right. Have you tried those to drive downloads? Is it effective?
Yes, we have. We have. It's pretty effective. We actually launched. We ran a Kickstarter campaign last year. Unsuccessful, unfortunately, but when we launched Instagram ads, we got comparable results to Facebook, which I think for us was good because it was our first try. I can't say much about that. We've got, we've only ran it once, but it's comparable. And because it's Instagram, it's still relatively it's not cluttered yet. Not all advertisers, at least not in this part of the world, not everyone's jumping on it. So if you're looking to promote your app for user acquisition, Instagram is a great platform. And you can do it in Facebook Ad Manager, all in one interface.
Okay, so one last question before I open to the floor, right? So if today I have the resources to start building an app, right? Would you take Malaysia in context, right? Would you recommend me to start on iOS first or Android first?
Sure. So based on pure numbers, Android, for sure. So, but I would recommend doing one platform at a time, or at least stagger it. So and not do. So basically, what you want to do is you want to get an MVP up as quickly as possible. So if I were to choose between iOS or Android, I would say Android because of the pure numbers. But it depends again on your audience. So if you're say like in countries like Singapore, where iOS penetration is still unusually high, you have to take that into consideration. But in Malaysia, definitely.
What's
Android.
the number like in terms of like Android versus iOS?
It used to be, rough estimate 70-30,
Wow.
but right now it's about 60-40, 70-30, thereabouts. Okay, so the great thing, okay, here's the thing. So monetization in-app, back to our earlier question, iOS wins hands down, right? The Android guys are cheapos, like they're freeloaders, they don't pay for content. I'm just gonna say that. But so we've seen high retention rates for users on iOS. Android, not so much. We're building something, we're migrating one of our apps into the Android platform. We hope to see positive results from that. But so far, iOS has been consistent. They're always, very consistent in terms of the downloads and in-app revenue. With Android, you get like multiples in terms of compared to iOS in terms of downloads. But when it comes to revenue, it's a fraction of that. I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see. So basically, it depends. If you're looking to monetize via in-app purchases, I would say iOS first. If you're looking for reach, definitely Android. But Android, again, comes with, because you've got 1,000,001 form factors. So again, you've got to focus on, what segment of the Android market that you want to go for. So I'd say cater for the Xiaomi phones, the Samsung phones. Forget about anything lower than that, right? Without getting into technicalities.
All right, cool. So is there any questions that y'all want to ask TJ over here? Oh, there's one over there. Can we pass the mic over to the gentleman over there? So in the meantime, if you're looking to ask questions, you can also tweet Ask Malaysia Social Media Week 2016, right? So yes, over to you.
Hi, good morning. It's me again. No boring, huh? Right.
Hi.
I have a question.
Sure.
But let me go to a bit of my background. I was supporting Uber as well as Mozilla. Not to be brag. It's just a thing that because the word is app, right? Mozilla have continuously start with web app. Should brand goes to the web app? That's number one. Number two will be, should a brand really goes to mobile app? Or in sense of how you actually determine that, based on product or based on audience target, the target of the client of the company. That's all. Thank you.
So you're speaking, you're referencing Mozilla specifically, or are you saying like the browser?
Yeah, the browser app.
Okay,
Web app.
okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, like I mentioned briefly, so if you're looking for an instant native experience, tap a button, you didn't have to wait like 2 seconds for content to load. I think native is the way to go. So I think when it comes to apps, right, it's the main thing, like I mentioned, you always start with the user to answer your question directly. It's always about the user experience. And user experience trumps technology any day, right? The user doesn't really care about how sophisticated your technology is. The stuff that happens in the cloud, the stuff that happens after I tap a button, it's about how fast I can get a response. I don't have to wait 3 seconds, 5 seconds. I wait half a second for instantaneous results. So I guess if you start with the user, with the audience, you find it hard to go wrong. You evolve from there. You probably won't get it right on day one, but I guess that's the one of the first determining factors. So we talk about apps, right? And my talk has been focused on mobile apps. So you talk about browser-based apps. So like companies like, say, Pinterest, for example, they have a Chrome extension, and that works for them because Pinterest has a mobile app. Sorry, they have a website, they have a mobile app, they have a browser app. And how this works, it all works in tandem, in harmony, right? So if I want to pin something, if I'm browsing a website, I don't have to take out my phone from my pocket, because that's disruptive to the user experience. All I need to do is, assuming I'm browsing on the desktop, just click the Chrome extension, and I can pin that to my pinboard, and that I can view it instantly on my tablet and my phone. So again, seamless user experience. It depends on the use case. So yeah, it's not, again, I said, it's not mutually exclusive. It's not one over the other. It depends on your priorities and what you're planning to do at that point of time. Yeah.
Does that answer your question? All right, cool. There's another one over there.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Jessica. I'm from Sunray Pyramid.
Hello.
Okay, so you were talking about groundbreaking apps in Malaysia earlier, and we were wondering, right, like even groundbreaking apps such as one that's recommended or featured in Vulcan Post, Park Easy. Yeah, so that it changes the lifestyle of people, but it's a groundbreaking app,
Yep.
and it's facing certain backlashes from the social media industry. So do you think that in general Malaysians are actually ready for apps that changes their lifestyle or for groundbreaking apps as you've mentioned?
Malaysians are actually ready for groundbreaking apps. I think, in a word, yes, but it depends on, again, the implementation, right? I mean, if it's anything from, if it's hassle to sign up, for example, or, it doesn't work half of the time, then I'd say, hold back on your mobile app. Don't launch it if it's not ready. So whenever we launch a product or even any client project, every app goes through a rigorous testing process. It's always about so we did one app for Rexona, the deodorant brand. It was this campaign called Rexona Move, where you're using sensors, the accelerometer. Depending on your movement, it would translate, it would calculate your calories burnt, and it would translate that into distance covered. So, for example, if I did 100 sit-ups, that would translate into X number of meters. And the idea was to get, to cover the distance of the entire, all the states in Malaysia. So the campaign was built to to rally everyone to move, right? So not to hard sell their deodorant products, but to get people to adopt a healthy lifestyle. And one of the things that we did when we were developing, our developers actually launched the app, put the phone in their pockets, and ran around the block 3 times, like in a hot, scorching sun, just to see whether the app tracked location as expected. And I think that kind of thing is necessary for, like I said, right, a user experience that doesn't quite, an app that doesn't quite deliver on the promised user experience. I think it's a failed thing. I'd rather you not have it launched. I can't say specifically for that app. I haven't had an experience personally, but I think any app that helps me find a parking spot, without having to waste my time or burn petrol fuel is an amazing thing. I mean, that compared to 5 years ago, where where maybe innovation in this space was zero, or I had to rely on that directional arrows when I drove into a car park. I think that kind of thing helps. Is a very good example of improving quality of life. Probably, if you're talking about accuracy, maybe accuracy of location indoors might not be the best. So innovation there's still be innovation to be done in that space in terms of pinpointing exact location while indoors. Outdoors, no problem. But I think we'll get there. So yeah, I think Malaysians or people in general are ready for breakthrough apps if it helps improve their lives. In small, it doesn't have to be in big ways. I think in small, incremental steps. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah. So I think I wanted to echo what you mentioned just now, right? Like I always tell my team, there's only one opportunity or one chance to make an impression with your potential user, and it has to be right the first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is there any other questions from other delegates over here? Oh, whoa, that's 2 questions.
Hello. Okay. Hi, my name is Alia. My
Hi.
question is very easy. What is your take on GIF? Like, what is the future?
On what? On GIFs?
What? Yeah. What is the future for GIFs? GIF.
GIFs.
Yeah.
Right. So GIF, as you know, is it's very old technology. It existed in the days of bulletin boards, BBSs. Wow, I'm old, right? But GIFs are making a comeback. Right now, it's in sort of like video form as well. It's funny, right? So user behavior is so random. GIFs, I think, GIFs wouldn't exist if there were no memes. So memes existed, then GIFs helped to perpetuate that. And now, you're looking at apps that replace the keyboard with GIFs. So you don't actually, so that's the evolution of humankind. You don't, from full sentences to like LOL to like now pictures. You don't even type words. But it all serves, it shows us how communications evolved, right? And I think GIFs are great. They're funny. I think they're not going to die anytime soon. And it's part of internet pop culture. We definitely, AlphaPod itself, we're looking at innovation in that space as well, trying to integrate that with your camera so you can actually create your own GIFs and share them. But GIFs, I think with messaging, coupled messaging, I think, it's, infinite possibilities.
So, do you think it's the future of communications?
I wouldn't go as far as to say that, but GIFs are like emojis. They are definitely, they express things that you don't have to type out, right? And when you watch a certain GIF or you express an emoji, you understand in a way that maybe words can't describe. So it's beyond. So it's not about technology anymore. It's not about apps anymore. It's about human behavior. A few human expression, exactly. The technology itself is not terribly, sophisticated, but I think, if a GIF can appear on your wearable and on your VR headset, then yeah, it's content. So it's content that lives on any form of device.
Okay, we have the second question over there.
Yeah, my question is a bit more boring. It's actually, there's a lot of companies now looking into enterprise apps, apps for their employees.
Sure.
Have you had any experience with doing this kind of apps, and what would you say is like the success factor for employee enterprise apps?
Employee enterprise apps. So for example, like Slack.
Well, it's internal apps. For example, the company itself producing an app just for the employees to use it. Yeah, something like that.
Yes, so there is some innovation in that space. So Slack, for example, for internal communication. Facebook at work. What else? Yammer. So I guess if it's about employee productivity, the usual stuff. So even we're thinking of building an app to open the automatic gate in the office and some stuff like that. Or it takes attendance. It knows that you're in the office at what time, and you're not slacking off from work, and that kind of thing. But I mean, that aside, I think it's so Facebook is trying to, everyone is very is familiar with the Facebook experience, and now they're building a set of features for the workplace, and there's going to be innovation in that space. So I think it's a natural progression. People are already used to apps. The days of the intranet. Right now, I guess it's just in a different form. So yes, I guess the short answer is yes. It's possible to build apps for internal usage. Anything from taking attendance to applying leave, to more interesting stuff, communication as well, sharing files, productivity.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, but you don't have any experience in doing any
For
apps.
internal, not for employees, but we built one of the examples that come to mind is an app we built. This is a B2B app, enterprise app. They built for a company called ECS. Not many of you might know them, but they're basically a distributor / importer of hardware. So a lot of the retailers from Digital Mall and Lau Yat, they actually order stocks of devices, tablets, mobile phone from this company, ECS, and we built the platform for transactions to happen. So anything like if I want to order, 50 iPhone 6s, S's, and all I need to do is key in that order, press a button, it goes to ECS, and it measures, it tracks all the way from that to, it checks inventory, it tracks delivery and stuff like that. So yeah, boring stuff. But yeah, that helps with, I guess, internal productivity. You don't have to fill out forms anymore. You don't have to fax over stuff. Everything it's via mobile app interface, web as well. Yeah.
Okay, cool. We have a burning question over here.
Chris.
Thanks, TJ. I think that was a very insightful presentation. I've never seen so many questions coming up, live. But also, I want to put some attention to questions that are being asked online. So there are a number of Ask SMS W2016 questions, and
Sure.
this is the one that I want to find out as well. How else can government bodies benefit from mobile apps apart from just being a platform of disseminating general information? Yeah, I mean, could you just suggest a few?
Government.
Yeah, that's right. And maybe
Jackie,
you can also check. There's quite a lot.
Yes, I'm checking. Sorry.
Okay.
Well, we are working with a government agency. I can't disclose that right now. It's still in development, but that is for information dissemination. You can look at applications like immigration or renewing your workers permit. So I sound like a MyEG ad, right? So that I think is interesting innovation in that space. Renewing your driving license and stuff like that. And I think we're slowly seeing that. So I guess if I were to put it in a nutshell, from the government perspective, I would say what would the rakyat want? What would make the rakyat's lives easier? I don't think certain people in government are ready for two-way discourse. But although the technology allows for that, but maybe voting, polling could be done digitally, as it has been for years in the States and more developed countries. But yeah, it's all about, I think the market is ripe. Everyone owns a device, a smartphone capable of connecting to the internet. So that's, I'm looking at, positive applications. There are, of course, a lot of negative stuff like, privacy, so tracking your whereabouts and stuff like that. But yeah, so anything, I guess, that would, I think personally, which saves my time. I don't have to go into the the government office, take my queue number, and wait for my turn. If I can get a queue number via my mobile phone, and it tells me estimate ETA, my turn is going to be at 3 p.m. and I show up like half an hour before that, I think that would be great. I think our neighbors down south, have that like super organized. A lot of room for innovation. I think it doesn't have to, again, it doesn't have to be, sophisticated technology. It just needs to make my life easier. I don't have to waste time lining up and then, getting different answers from different government offices. I think if everything can be centralized, everything can be updated in real time, whether it's procedures or processes, I think that would be great to start with.
Okay, I think there's, let me just finish off with two questions, right?
Sure.
I think there's one question that I think is really interesting. From Sarah, can anyone make an app without coding experience? right? What's your view on app maker or app builder out there?
Sure. So I can speak from experience. We used a platform, a tool, a framework called I can't remember, Titanium Accelerator. And what it did was, this was building our first mobile app, and it didn't turn out well. So what we did was, you code in JavaScript, and it will spit out native code. So the problem with that was that you're dependent on the platform. Although these platforms and these frameworks have been, have improved along the years tremendously. But I think it's always, I think as a rule of thumb, it's not always the best idea to be dependent or reliant on frameworks like that, because then what if iOS or Android launches a new update to the OS? You always have to wait for these guys to update their frameworks to take advantage of the latest capabilities, right? So, and what if these frameworks have bugs? Then you have to get in touch and be at the mercy of their customer service, or basically, their priorities in terms of development. So I'd say, if it's a simple app, to display pictures or to read the news, that can be done using frameworks like this. To build more, slightly more sophisticated stuff, I think you require coding knowledge, experience. Even using frameworks like that, you need to know your HTML5, you need to know your JavaScript, right? In order for it to spit out native code. Stuff like drag and drop, maybe it's applicable for hybrid type approaches. But maybe to build mobile websites, to build web apps, maybe that's okay to go if you want to build something simple and quick, or to prototype something. But I'd say if you want to build long-term product, definitely native, and you will require coding experience. So, what the folks in the US have always been pushing for, it's about programming literacy, right? To be able to, like programmers and developers are the rock stars of the future. So.
Okay, cool. Any last advices for anyone that want to hop onto the mobile revolution?
Mobile revolution. Okay, so I guess, again, going back to the points I just made earlier, don't jump on it for the sake of going mobile. I think really have a purpose and know what you're getting into. Like I said, developing a mobile app isn't for everyone, but it's a great opportunity to reach your audience, like on demand. I guess, okay, so after this, we can talk in detail one-to-one. My colleagues are here as well. So if you've got any specific questions about how to build your first mobile app, or how to transition to the mobile space, we'll be glad to answer, because I think it depends on a case-to-case basis.
Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. That sums up our panel. Thank you.